what it do? Welcome to the Pride, Pretzels, and Prison podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ed Dan from 94.1 WIP. You already know we're brought to you by your car doctors at Miller Service Center. Listen, when you go there, you get service you can trust, quality you deserve. Stop in sometime. Listen, ask for me. I work there. I'll come out and shoot the shit with you if my boss isn't there. Give me a call today, 717-442-8285. All right, enough of that. We have a lot to cover. We're going to try and keep this to about 10 minutes. But we have a lot of things we want to talk about. We're going to cover some Eagles that we don't want back. We're going to say a quick prayer. Jonathan Gannon gets a job anywhere else other than here. And then we're going to talk about two defensive coordinators that we would like to see in his place. All that and more when we come back. Let's go. All right, let's talk about some birds we've seen enough of. We're going to start with two wide receivers. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, listen, second round pick. He's been about as unproductive as you could possibly be. I have a stat written down that can't possibly be true, that he's the third wide receiver in NFL history to play 40 games in 3 seasons and catch less than or equal to 16 passes. I really think that's got to be 16 passes a season and not total. But honestly, it probably is. Probably, if I wrote this down, I'm sure I checked it. This just seems mind-boggling to me. But, hey, as Nick said, the guy's a great blocker. What a waste of a second-round pick. The second one, obviously, we already know, Jalen Reagor. I'm not going to waste a lot of time here. The guy's one of 6 wide receivers who was drafted in the first round and started at least 20 games and has had fewer than 700 yards. Nelson Aguilar was the other. And we already lived through that. So I know we're going to be stuck with the guy again because he was a first-round pick and he's got extreme talent and all the other things. But honestly, the two of them, I really would like to get them the fuck out of the wide receiver room. Let's bring some veterans in free agency. Let's get somebody in the draft. But we really need to make some upgrades there. Another first-round pick who's been a real bust is Derek Barnett. I think, $10.5 million we paid to bring him back this year. I don't see any reason to give him another contract. He, 2.5 seasons, he's had 21.5 sacks. We were getting ready for this show, and producer Kate pointed out to me that TJ Watt, got it right this time, not JJ. TJ Watt had 22.5 sacks this year. Now, does that tie an NFL record? Yes. Is that fantastic? Yes. Is that, you don't expect anybody to have 22.5 sacks in a season, but when you have 21.5 in 2.5 seasons and you're a first-round pick, it's really unexcusable. And the penalties. I mean, don't even get me started on the drive extended penalties, the false starts, the unsportsmanlike conducts, roughing the passer, etc., etc. I'm really done with Derek Barnett. Another defensive lineman, I don't see us bringing him back anyway, but I pray to God we don't, is Ryan Kerrigan. Played an entire season, no sacks, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. I don't really give a shit about the 1.5 sackles. The 1.5 sacks against Tampa, against a backup lineman. I already talked about, I really didn't appreciate him celebrating. I don't know what he was celebrating. What a waste of $2.5 million. Hassan Ridgeway, buddy, I didn't really notice you since game 1, and that was against Atlanta, and everybody looked great that game. Jannard Avery, we need linebackers in a bad way, and he's set to be a free agent. He's had 2 years now, I think at least 2 years, to make an impact. Hasn't done it. This defense has to get better. It's got to get younger. It's got to get faster. I just don't see a reason to give this guy another contract. Moving along with the defense, the secondary, you got Anthony Harris, Roddy McLeod, and Steve Nelson, who are all set to be free agents. Obviously, Roddy McLeod, you've been a great Eagle for a couple of years now. I think 5 or 6. You were huge in the Super Bowl, that whole run. We really appreciate that. But, here's the reality. They're all going to be free agents. McLeod's going to be 32. Harris is going to be 30. Steven Nelson's going to be 29. We really have to improve in the secondary. We got to get turnovers. The last couple of seasons, we have severely lacked. We just haven't been able to get them. And we need to get, like I said, younger, faster, better on the defense. You got guys that are getting older. They're going to be free agents. Cap space is tight. You have about 14 million. There's some moves you can make to get it to about 30. I don't know that you can get much higher than that. But you got too many positions to fill. I don't know if you can get rid of all three. I think you're going to have to bring back at least one. But you got some decisions to make there. And Anthony Harris and Steven Nelson didn't play bad, but also didn't play great. Didn't really do a whole lot to stand out. Finally, Ryan Siposs. We need a new punter. Guy looked good for most of the season, but then coming down the stretch when the games started to matter, I don't know if he got. I'm not saying he got the yips, but he was terrible, just terrible, and didn't take a lot to go out and get another punter. I don't think. So I think it's time to move on there. We're gonna save the prayer for Gannon to the end of the show. So we're going to talk real quick about two people we would love to replace him. First one being Vic Fangio. I know he got fired this year from the Broncos. They were not great. That defense wasn't fantastic. But 3 out of his last 4 defenses, I'm almost positive, were in the top 10. One might have been right there on the cusp, 10th or 11th, but I'm pretty sure it was like 9th. Listen, he's been a pretty good defensive coordinator. He's from outside of Philly. He grew up an Eagles fan. He would be a huge upgrade over Gannon. So Fangio, again, is my favorite choice for a new defensive coordinator. Another guy I like a lot is Mike Zimmer. I don't know. Again, I mean, some of these guys were head coaches. So who knows if they're going to take a step back. I mean, they might have to take a coordinator role. But both those guys, I think, are instant upgrades over Jonathan Gannon. I think they're probably the 2 best candidates out there right now. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know Nick said that he would love to bring the whole staff back. I would not. I'm really hoping that we take this time, this offseason, to make some upgrades. Not just with the personnel, but also with the staff. So we'll see what happens. I have a quick question for you guys based on the way the games played out this weekend. Then we're going to wrap up and get out of here. So when we come back, question for you guys based on what you saw this weekend, if it changes your mind about one of the, we'll say, rumors about the Eagles' plans this offseason. All that when we come back, then we're going to wrap up and get out of here. It's the Pride Pretzels in Prison podcast. One more quick thing before we say a prayer for Jonathan Gannon. After this weekend's games, has anyone else changed their opinion on bringing Aaron Rodgers in? Actually, anyone else was probably a bad way to say it because I wasn't in favor of bringing Aaron Rodgers in. Although, full disclaimer, I fucking love Aaron Rodgers. Okay? I didn't want him to come here for reasons I'm going to say, but I love Aaron Rodgers. And I'd be the first one to buy 3 jerseys, home, away, and a black Jawn. But that's because I think he's the most talented quarterback of all time. He's right. Pat Mahomes is right there, which says a lot about Pat Mahomes because he's so young. But he's not the most accomplished. That's obviously Brady. But dude, the way he just throws the football, I do like Aaron Rodgers. However, I did not want us to spend a bunch of draft capital to bring him in for the reason that we're about to say. Once again, dude, we just came up short in a playoff game. So, as much as I think he would have been obviously a huge upgrade immediately, and I think would have obviously taken us to the playoffs, I like our shot at winning that division, even with not that many good wide receivers. Like with Aaron Rodgers, dude, I'd take him up against Dak Prescott. I mean, who's Washington going to have next year? New York's looking for a quarterback all over again. But, again, has anyone changed their mind about if you're looking to make a run, you're looking to win a Super Bowl, we talked about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, or scumbag in Houston, about being three guys that could be brought in. Has anyone changed their mind about Aaron Rodgers after yet another disappointing playoff loss? That I would like to hear about. You can mention that in the comments below. Now, listen, I don't know why, because he's a stooge, and he fucking sucks. And he ran this, not that this defense was great, but he ran it into the ground. And I usually like Rube, but I can't understand why he wrote a whole article defending him. If you haven't seen it, NBC Sports. Jonathan Gannon sucks. He sucked all year. I don't understand how he's getting interviews when the guy opens his mouth. Kate knows. It's bad. But for some reason, there's people out there that want to hire him, and I say, please do. Nick Sirianni already came out and said he'll let him go if he gets hired. I pray to God that's true and that he does. So we're going to say a quick prayer. We're going to get out of here. Everybody, all together now. Dear God, we pray that you will lift Jonathan Gannon up and give him whatever he needs to get through these interviews and impress the right people. And we pray nothing but the best for him. He deserves a shot to be a head coach. And that's all we're saying is we support him in his endeavors, and we just really hope that, man, just make that happen. God's name we pray. Amen. I don't know if Kate appreciated that little bit, but we're going to get out of here. I got to go make dinner. It's Alfredo night. Whoop, whoop. As always, once again, we're brought to you by your car doctors at Miller Service Center, 717-442-8285. Listen, right now, they're running their special. It's until Monday, the end of the month. Inspection and emissions, $35. Dude, you can't beat that. If your car needs inspected in January, February, or March, or, God forbid, if it's out of inspection, there's no excuse. $35 plus your stickers, that's like $10 and change, right? So $45 plus tax. Dude, you can't beat that. That's a great deal. That's celebrating their 35th year in business. Family owned and operated. Support a small local business. Come in, say what's up to me. Talk about the Eagles. All that good stuff. I'm your host, Dan from 94.1 WIP. It's been the Pride Pretzels in Prison podcast. Like, comment, subscribe.
The Pride Pretzels in Prison podcast.
I congratulate you for your brilliance. That was spectacular, Danny.